Hey guys, I hope whoever's watching this video is doing good. Um, I actually wasn't sure if I was supposed to share this. Like I've literally been sitting on my chair for about 30 minutes right now, contemplating on whether to talk about my isolation period and what I've actually been going through, like in detail. I wasn't actually sure that I was supposed to speak about it. Like I just didn't know. At first though, I told myself that, you know what, I actually sleep on it, and if I wake up tomorrow and I feel like I should do it, and then I'll record it. But something just told me, it's like, bro, just record it right now. Just record it right now. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen once I reveal the things that I went through, but a lot of the things that I'm gonna talk about that I went through my isolation period, right? It's gonna be spiritual. So if you're watching this video and you're not a spiritual person, this is probably gonna bore you, and I just suggest that like you just turn it off, and go watch something else. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking about my isolation period and what I've been going through. You know, um, there's there's 1 week left before my monk mode ends. Before I take a break from work and take a well-deserved rest. Because I actually realized that it's important to take a rest, regardless of the results that I get from this challenge. I shouldn't base I shouldn't base it off whether like off the results of this challenge. Whether I should take a break or not. Like I actually look at the input more than the output, right? And when I look at the input, I'm like, okay, bro, you actually need to take a break. You actually deserve it, because even though I might not receive the outcome that I want from the end of this challenge, like I actually did work a lot, and I just actually did put in a lot of work, throughout this whole challenge, behind the scenes and everything. I was actually grinding every single day, and it might not seem like it, but I actually do deserve a break, and I was busting my ass off every single day. So I'm probably gonna cut this video into two parts, because I honestly don't know how long it's gonna be, because I'm basically gonna speak about the start of my isolation period, like from the very start until this day, what has happened, right? I'll try to speak about it in detail, like as much detail as possible, and just posting one video, it might be too long, it might be too long. So I might actually decide to cut it into two parts, and I upload one part today and the other part tomorrow. Wow, yeah. So here goes nothing, right? So 2nd of January, right, 2024. I told myself that, okay, I need to change how I usually do things, right? So at that time, the campaign that I started back in December was still running, for a couple of days. And I told myself that I'm gonna start working from the 2nd of January. I think it was a Tuesday, right? Because I already had an appointment for that day, right? And on the 15th, when was it? I think I started this channel, right? On the 15th of January, 15th of January. But wait, is it actually making sense? 1 7. Yeah, 15th of January, that's when I started this challenge. But I started my monk mode basically a week before I started this channel. I mean, this challenge, right? So, this challenge is only going on for 11 weeks, but my monk mode was actually for 12 weeks, right? So, I'm currently in my 11th week of monk mode, and it's only the 10th week of this challenge, right? So, basically, a week before I started my monk mode, right? I already knew that I was going to start it on I think it was the 8th of January, right? A week before this challenge. So 8th of January. But before that, right, there was a time where I told myself that this year I need to change things. I haven't been going to church for quite some time, ever since COVID, and I feel like I've lost that. Like my relationship with God wasn't like it wasn't good, because I wasn't going to church, I wasn't reading my Bible and stuff like that. So I just made a commitment that this year I need to do things differently, right? Um, so something happened, right? A week, sometime before I started my monk mode, right? My monk mode is basically my isolation period, right? So basically for 12 weeks. And I read something in the Bible, right? Like when I decided to read, I read something in the Bible, and it was talking about like days, this day, this is gonna happen, this day is gonna happen, right? And when I actually looked it up on my calendar, I, I was like, okay, if I start a 40-day fast today, and actually, what inspired me to start the 40-day fast that I actually did was I read something in Genesis, right? That I think it was Noah with the ark and everything, I'm sure you guys know the whole story. So for 40 days, 40 nights, and after reading the Bible, I used to, if I didn't understand it properly, I used to watch a YouTube video that would explain it, And that number 40, it was just appearing a lot of times, It was just when someone was going through a rough period, it would usually last for like 40 days. That number 40 was just constantly in my mind, And I was like, huh, it wouldn't actually be such a bad idea for me to start a 40-day fast, like starting from the first day of monk mode, And then as I kept reading the Bible, right, the dates, it just, I don't know, it's like I was meant to start the 40-day fast on the 15th of January, no, the 8th of January, because every time I'd read about the like certain days in the Bible, 6 days, or in the second month on the 17th day, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. And I'd look on my calendar and everything would just sync, and I'm like, how is this possible, because it seems like I was supposed to start a 40-day fast, because I already planned the monk mode a long time ago, Now this 40-day fast just fit perfectly into what I was doing already, And I was just like, why not? I have nothing to lose. Why not? It's like I'm basically fasting, even during monk mode, I'm basically fasting from the things that I usually do. So it was kind of like the same thing, And the first 29 days, obviously it wasn't easy, but nothing really happened, right? It would happen that I wasn't as consistent reading the Bible, right? And it would happen that actually when I read the Bible, the chapter that, so usually I'd follow like the yearly plan in the Bible, right? So every single day there's a specific chapter that you have to read. I'd go like a whole week without reading the Bible, but when I do read the Bible on that specific day, it's like the Bible is speaking to me specifically, and I'm like, damn, it's like I had to read the Bible on that exact same day, It's like God was talking to me somehow, It was kind of weird. I didn't know what to make of it, I didn't know what to make of it. Um, yeah, so with the 40-day fast, things started getting weird from when there were 11 days left of the fast, right? Like it was just crazy. You know, I'd read the Bible on the day I was supposed to read it, and the number 11 just kept appearing like a lot of times. I actually remember um before there were 11 days left of that 40-day fast, right? I think I wasn't reading the Bible for about 4 or 5 days because I just told myself that, yo, like I have a lot of work to do. And like I just wasn't reading the Bible. But when I read, I didn't even know that there were 11 days of the fast. I was just taking it one day at a time. I knew when the fast was going to end, but I wasn't paying attention like every single day that, like, okay, there's 12 days left, 11 days left, 10 days left you know so when there were 11 days left, something just told me, it was like, just read the Bible. I opened the Bible up. I actually went to the back of the Bible and I looked at the date, the chapter I was supposed to read, and I opened it up. And literally I think it was like the first or second sentence, it spoke about something that has to do with 11 days and all that. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And I looked at the calendar, and there were 11 days left on my fast. I'm like, how is this possible? What if I didn't read the Bible today? I wouldn't have read that chapter that spoke about 11 days left. So it just, like, it seemed like it was meant to be, like I was supposed to read the Bible on that specific day. Something just told me that, yo, like, read the Bible. And then literally from 11 days left of the fast until the final day of the fast, every single day, when there were 10 days left, something would happen. When there were 9 days left, something would happen. And it would be specific to that number of days that are left. So let's say there's like 8 days left of the fast. I'd see the number eight a lot of times, and it was just so weird. I didn't know what to make of it. Obviously, I went on YouTube, I watched a couple of videos and be like, okay, why are these things happening during this fast? And some videos would tell me that you're going through a spiritual awakening, like in this period of isolation. What is it called? Like, you have to trust your intuition, right? So nothing is logical at this point. Like, I can't look at things from a logical perspective. Like, I just need to trust my intuition with things. When something happens and there's no logical way of explaining it, I just have to be, oh, I know why that thing's happening, because I'm going through a spiritual awakening. I can't explain these things in logical terms. And the one that I remember the most was when there was 6 days left of the fast, right? So I think the 40-day fast ended on the Friday or the Saturday. And I remember on the Sunday when I went to church, there was 6 days left of the challenge, right? And I went to church, right? I went to church, and the chapter that they were reading at church, right? When they were reading that chapter, right? I was like, no, like, this chapter is so familiar. Like, I feel like I've heard it before, not like a long time ago, but recently. And it just hit me, and I was like, literally the day before when I was making food, I was listening to a sermon, right? And they were speaking about that exact same chapter. I'm like, oh, okay, like that's just weird. It's like that day, everything they were talking about at church, they were speaking about me. I was literally there at church. After they read the verse, I'd be there smiling by myself. I'm like, damn, that's crazy, It's like I had to go to church on that day too, because I think the week before I didn't go to church, but something just told me, like, go to church, because I literally live like 2 minutes away from the church, so there's no excuse as to, like, why I shouldn't go to church. So there was 6 days left, right? Then they read another verse. I forgot what chapter it was, and it spoke about something that has to do with 6 days, and it was so weird. I'm like, this number six, now that there's 6 days left on my fast, I'm hearing this number six a lot of times. So I just saw it as confirmation from God as to, like, I know what you're doing, I know what you're sacrificing, you're not alone, I'm with you, kinda. It was kind of like that confirmation that God was giving me. I was like, okay. And there was also a time on that exact same day, right, when at my church, when they call up all the men to come and sing, right? So that's what they do at my church. Sometimes all the women have to sing a verse together and all the men have to sing together. So they call up all the men to sing a verse. I stand up, I go, and then they say all the men need to sing hymn number six. I'm like, nah, that can't be. like, like that can't be. I was literally the only one smiling there, because I'm like, what is going on? What is actually going on? Like, so many things happened during my 40-day fast. Like, I watched a lot of videos explaining them, but some of the concepts I actually forgot as to, like, what they actually mean. And I'm actually going to talk about a couple of them. There was a time when I was sleeping, right? And it had been like 2 days where I woke up before my alarm rang. My alarm usually rings at 4 a.m. in the morning. But at that time, I'd wake up at like 3:30, 3:40. It was so weird. And on this one particular day, when I woke up, I actually felt my body vibrating. Like, literally my body was vibrating. And I think my mind was already awake at that time. It's just that my body wasn't up. And I actually touched myself and I could feel like things moving inside of my body, you know. Like obviously I didn't know what it was, you know. But like as soon as I woke up, obviously the first thing that I opened up was YouTube and I did some research. You know, I'm like, what is that? Like, why does it seem like things are like I could actually feel the vibrations, you know, and I'm like, what is happening to me? You know, everything that's been happening to me during the 40 days was like so weird, you know. And when I do research, it'll tell me that your the spiritual awakening, you know, you're going through this, you're going through that. This is your season of isolation. You're getting closer to God. It just means that my spiritual energy, you know, it's like the frequency that I'm moving at it's becoming higher, it's increasing, you know. Like it was just so weird, you know. And obviously since the start of this period of isolation, this season of isolation, man, I've been celibate, you know. I've been celibate the whole time, and trust me, it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy. When I tell my friends about it, they laugh at me. You know, they literally laugh at me. They're like, bro, like it's literally been almost 3 months, you know. You telling me you haven't gotten anything? You know, I'm like, nah, bro. You know, it's not like I don't have access to it, you know, but it's like it's a choice, you know, it's a choice. I just told myself that nah, you know, I just want to grow spiritually right now through this season of isolation of mine, you know. And something happened, right? I forgot like what day to be specific, but something happened. I got a wet dream, right? And obviously, a wet dream is not something like, you know, like people do get wet dreams, you know, especially when you're celibate or inactive, you know, for quite some time, you know. And usually, I wouldn't actually count as to like how long it'll be that I go without having a wet dream, you know. But something weird happened, you know. I had two weird dreams, like two weird dreams in just 3 days. I just knew that something was off, you know. Like even last year, I went through monk mode, you know, and I was celibate, I was inactive for some time, and nothing like that had ever happened to me before. Like that's when I knew that okay, something is actually going on, like spiritually and all that, you know, because it doesn't make sense. How do I get two weird dreams in just 3 days? You know, I know I've been inactive, but come on, you know, two in 3 days, that just didn't make any sense to me. You know, it didn't, you know. And it was just I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it. It was one hell of an experience, you know. I grew closer to God during those 40 days because literally, like, I'd read the Bible. If I wasn't reading the Bible, I'd be going to church regularly. I'd be watching sermons on YouTube and stuff like that, you know. Because how I saw it, you know, it's like the relationship that you have with God is like, for example, let's say it's kind of like the relationship you have with your father, right? Imagine yourself being a father, right? And all of a sudden your kids start neglecting you, you know, they don't, like over time as they grow older, they don't speak to you, they become they detach themselves, you know, there's no communication and all that. As a father, obviously you're gonna miss your kids, you know, and you're gonna try and do things to like bring them back to you somehow, you know. So like that's how I kind of like viewed it, you know, because it's like all the things that I've been doing this whole time, you know, it's like, let's say God as my father, the way he sees it, you know, it's like, oh, so you can't go without that thing in your life for literally 5 days, but you can go like 6 months without speaking to me, without reading the Bible, without going to church or something like that, you know. That's how I saw it, you know. I started seeing things from a different perspective, you know. So yeah, those 40 days were just super wild. They were literally wild, you know. It was like I had never experienced anything like it before.